right. What's up, people? What's up, people? We are back again. Shelfspace, the podcast. I'm your host, Almond Brown. Got my co-host here, Mr. Headache Mitchell. I'll let him introduce himself real quick.
Good evening. What up? What up? What up, everybody? Thank you for joining us on the most poppin'est podcast on the face of this flipping earth, the show space. Hopefully, we will be able to bring you some great content, leave you with some questions, and also something to hold conversations over.
Exactly. And our third co-host, Mr. Wawa West, has been working a lot lately. Not only working on the job, but doing some other side stuff, getting some parties started. So he may join us in the second hour. But as you can see, I'm on the road. So I called this one the college road trip edition. I had to drop off Cedric at college and heading back, getting chauffeured back. But did not want to miss this week's episode because we had a really interesting topic that we're going to let the Toxic Avenger run on. He's all set for it, and we're going to get into a deep discussion about what he says is why women struggle in relationships with negotiation and compromise. So we'll see what happens with that. But for the week,
AKA getting what it is that you want.
So you hear that? The challenge is out there. So he's ready for you. For the week, we just want to touch again. You guys have been following the show. You kind of know what it's about. We like to talk about the topics in the headlines and a little bit of pop culture, but we also like to focus on mental health awareness, emotional health, things like that, really to help us develop and become just better all around people, try to improve the community, and have those discussions, really drive those discussions. We always say we are not the experts, but we would like to encourage people. Like if you're feeling, isolated, feeling depressed, feeling anxiety, reach out to the professionals, and not let anything linger. We want to encourage and help people drop that stigma of getting help from a counselor, getting mental health checkups, things like that. Might as well treat our mental health as well as we treat our physical health. So with that, in the news this week, man, a lot of things going on, but one of the things that we talked about in the production meeting that caught our eye was an announcement today from the NBA to be involved in, not in politics, but just be involved in, I like to call it social responsibility. They are going to actually not schedule games on election day, and then the day before have all 30 teams involved in games where they are focused on voting and being responsible, about voting. So that's just, that made me think of the "shut up and dribble" headline that happened when LeBron James spoke out some years ago about Black Lives Matter, and then he was kind of targeted by some of the news media about "shut up and dribble." And so now here's the NBA with this initiative. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, Headache. What do you see? Is this a political play by the NBA, or do you see it as a genuine gesture?
When you peel back the layers, I do see this as a cleaner version of playing politics with this. You kind of don't want to isolate people. You just throwing at this stage of the game, we're just throwing stuff up against the wall to see what actually sticks, in an effort to make our side look good. I do think that this is a political play. I don't think that it's honestly genuine.
You don't think it's genuine? You think it is a political play?
Yes. There's always a deeper. They kind of throw you these curveballs to keep you on a certain level. When actually we have our own agendas going on, especially the thing went on with Jay-Z and him undercutting Kaepernick, and them totally bypassing him and going to Jay-Z with it. And you saw nothing actually stalled out with that one either.
I don't. I mean, I hate to be pessimistic and say that it's a political play. I really think that the NBA, I look at it, maybe I'm just looking at a surface level. I really think that the NBA is trying to be socially responsible. Um, where I think that they're going to make a difference is with that 20 and under crowd. Historically, voter participation is low in the United States. It's pretty bad. I mean, you have some election day turnouts that are, below 20%, and I just don't understand what it needs to take for more people to be involved in voting, for more people to take it serious. You have people in the NBA, players in the NBA making millions of dollars who come out and say, "I've never voted." So obviously, we're missing the boat educating educating young kids on why voting is important. So I applaud the NBA on doing it. They're not being partisan about it. They're not saying who to go vote for, but to at least put the importance on voting. I applaud it. I applaud that.
I guess, because you have to really look at voter turnout and them not playing a game at 7 o'clock when the polls are pretty much closed. And nobody is actually staying home. Yo, I gotta watch LeBron dunk on KD tonight, and I'm not going to vote because I'm waiting to go see LeBron play. That's not happening. So that's why I don't think that is genuine.
No, you're right. No, I don't think that's happening. I don't. No one's saying I got to go see. The reason I didn't vote is because LeBron played. I do get that, but I think they're at least bringing in some perspective, some focus on our voter turnout here in the United States. That to me is all. It's just you can't explain that with that many people, that higher percentage of the people who don't participate in the political process. Doesn't matter who you want, but you can't tell me that they 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 disregard voting so much so that they won't even go and voice an opinion or make a choice on someone who could, raise or lower their taxes or improve their schools or, um, affect the economy where they live with more jobs. Why wouldn't somebody be involved in that process? Not only in voting, but then also once you vote them in, hold them accountable for what they said they would do. And I think the NBA is on the right track, making that important, making that important to. Of course, the NBA's audience is going to be younger kids. It's going to make it important to them. That's what my hope is.
And I get all of that, but to go back to my statement, kids are not voting because of a game being on. You don't take interest in politics because you've already cashed out and assumed that politics does not work for you. The only reason why people honestly tuned into the last presidential run was not because of content, it was because of the character that we had in office. You waited
That
for the train
drive
wreck.
turnout, yes.
Every day was a train wreck. We all stood next to the railroad tracks at the place where we thought the train wreck was going to happen, and we waited. We don't have that anymore. You don't have Sideshow Bob on the stage now asking for people to come watch me. You don't have that anymore. So it's back to business as usual. But also with voting, you don't get to you don't get to you don't get to pick whom it is that you want to vote for.
Uh, yeah, okay. I follow your thinking on that. I think a lot of times in voting, you're voting. You're not really voting for someone. You're voting against them. A lot of times I've been in that position where I didn't like the person I was voting for, but I definitely didn't like the person that I was voting against.
That's a big element, but also what person actually knows about writing in a candidate? And if you
That shouldn't be foreign to.
But it is though. The average person, if you ask them about, did you know that you can write in a candidate, they will look you dead in the face and look like like you're an alien or that you're speaking another language.
Right. And where does that teaching? Where does that teaching start? I mean, I think just from the climate in the country now, there hasn't been a good job of teaching civics in school, or maybe they teach it and kids aren't. It's just not important to them. It's not resonating with them. Again, they don't feel like they're part of the process. Um, so I really like the fact the NBA at least will bring attention to it. Like on a Tuesday, they're gonna like, wait, why are no games on? Oh, it's election day. Okay, our country should have long time ago made election day a holiday. Um, I've had to vote on my lunch break before on certain jobs, and I've had to be like, okay, can I get some time to get off? I've gotten to the polls late, hey, as long as you're in line, this is going okay. That should not be a problem for us. We do need to put a little more importance and focus on election day just to be involved in the process.
Okay, so would it not have been better to do some sort of rollout first, especially with teaching people about voters' rights, voter suppression, things of these natures first before implementing this, and then just okay, it's on the table, and then people are left to wonder, what do I do next, or even genuinely not care what happens next. You
I
said
think,
you
yeah,
said something about civics and it not being my thing with civics. How do you make it interesting for a young 14-year-old kid that the system is using him to fund their agenda? How do you make that interesting? We don't have a system of revolution anymore. Is if it don't impact me getting this money, getting to this bag, I could give a flip. When in actuality, it does, because you get caught up in their bag, known them, and then the bag that you're caught in adds money back to their bag on the back end of the deal. They're using you, and it's kind of like something what Chuck Lee was saying. He said in 2022, y'all need to seriously make not going to jail a priority.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Chuck D. I want to say just you know I think for us, especially our generation, like hip hop did a lot for us to read a little further or pay a little more attention in civics class than maybe what's going on now. Um, I remember Bill Clinton was the first president I was able to vote for, and since then, I've you know followed candidates that I've liked. I've participated in almost every election since then. I'll admit, I skipped the presidential election.
Which
I
one?
did.
Which one?
This one's gonna hit you. I did. Oh, let me just say this: it's because I didn't like either candidate, and I was at a point to where I was ready to check out of politics. Also, I did not vote in the Bush v. Gore election, but I watched it on TV, and I watched them call Florida for Gore, and then about, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, hold on, wait a minute, nope, wait, Florida's still up in the air. It was a pretty much foregone thought to me that Gore was going to win. I was not happy with him, but I also wasn't happy with Bush. But I watched that election, and then I think it was a week of just back and forth about, you know, these ballots being found here. You know, they weren't punched right. That was back when we did hole punching and all that. And so after that, I mean, I couldn't. No matter what the result was, I just felt like I didn't have any room to complain because I didn't participate in the process. So after that, I was like, you know what? No matter what, I'm gonna vote, but I'm also gonna vote and I'm gonna hold candidates accountable. And even at that point, then I realized, I thought the local races, the state races were more important than the nationals. And so,
As always.
yeah, yeah. And I just started being more engaged in the process. And I think that's where I'm hoping young people, especially 20 and under, want to be engaged in the process, understand these offices and what they do, what they hold. And so that's why I was really proud of the NBA to do that, because we've gone from shut up and dribble, and also the NFL getting kind of rolled into that, this whole political process, um, culture war thing, and the NBA just coming out saying, hey, we're not telling you who to vote for, but we want to see voter turnout high. We want to see voter participation high. We want people engaged. And I think that's where we need to go.
But me, I'm always looking at the business end of the deal. There has to be something beneficial for them to actually jump into this. Now, what that is, the dynamics behind it, just like
Okay.
with uh, the thing that they do with the soldiers, with
Right.
Crucial Catch. If you want to advertise on, we got the world's biggest platform. If you
Right.
want to advertise here, you have to make it lucrative for us. So I'm looking at it from the same perspective with this uh, pushing voter turnout. This could possibly be ramping up, setting the stage up for 2024 when your man makes his grand entering back into the political field. But what I pulled up was something that resonates with me extremely. It says, "What better way to enslave a man than to give him the vote and call him free? What does it profit a man to be able to vote when he has to choose between Democrat and Republican? Basically, you don't get to choose. They give you they give you your captive, and then you pick who is going to put you in bondage for the next 4 years. Because if it does not serve their interests, doesn't matter. Same thing with Kamala Harris. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stay on her because we are actually letting her off the hook. She's not. It's the same thing that we did with Barack Hussein Obama. We were just happy to go ahead and get one, and then bam, that was it. Game was over. Same thing with her. You have the first female black vice president. Ding, ding, ding. Game's over. We won. Let's go home. Pack your bags. Let's go home. And we don't hold her accountable for anything. Nothing. Matter of fact, Michelle Obama has done more and been more vocal for black people when her husband was in office than she has been. And she has more power.
I would like to see her. I mean, we're still what, halfway through their term. I would like to see her be a little more front and center with some things, um, just to represent, the historic nature of her being elected vice president. Just be more active. I would say that. But I think there's two parts when we do voter education. There's two parts: the process of voting, but also the process of holding the people you vote in accountable.
Of course.
And I think that's the part that too many of us check out of. So a lot of us don't even involve in the voting part. But the ones who do vote then check out of holding people accountable. There's not enough of us doing that, and so I want to see that, and I think them doing this really does put a dent in the shut up and dribble narrative that came out. That was wrong to say that. I mean, any athlete has a voice, should exercise that, and rather, not necessarily say they try to influence anyone, but at least be vocal about the fact they that they are involved in the process and they vote. I was shocked to see how many athletes and say, "Oh, I've never voted before. I'm not even, I just don't vote." I mean, that's sort of embarrassing.
But I got my money though. Me voting for whomever, it doesn't matter. Same thing with taking their right to vote away. What good does that do when a person goes to jail and then you take their voting rights away, that you do not allow them to vote? What good does that do? Especially if they are supposed to be rehabilitated and put
Right.
back into society, why is their vote not given back to them upon their release? That you have to fight to get back to the vote.
Well, the argument there is that, they need to work their way back into, a good standing member of society. Yes, they've served their time for the crime, um, but also, there's going to be a period before they restore their right to vote. Um, and I guess they don't want to, they want to say, someone comes along, someone who can pardon, that has pardoning power, and you go and pardon, thousands of, inmates with, hey, you know, you need to vote for me, kind of thing. Yeah, maybe that's why. I don't know, but maybe that's why.
Well, if people really want to get involved in politics, first place I send them is on YouTube to H. Rap Brown's video, um, formerly known as H. Rap Brown. Um, his speech of politics and education. That'll give you pretty much. You can hit the ground running with that. He picks up about politics is what happens to you on a day-to-day basis, where your children go to school, how you make a living, whether you are allowed to to go to jail or not. All of those things he covers those things. But then again, we're always pushed into this corner to where you have to be a Democrat or a Republican, and I don't sign on for either one.
No,
And
no,
at this stage
I
of the
don't.
game now, assuming that black people, to me, being called a Democrat, that's like calling me November 1994.
Yeah, your version of the N word, right? Okay,
Yes, but that's it's almost at the level of a racial slur now when you expect people to be a Democrat, just because, and I know that a lot of people are, and then you get vilified if you do declare that you are a Republican. Um, but I'm neither, because both sides will lock you up. They will throw the key away from you. They will
right.
take your guns from you. If it does not serve in their best interest, you will become a product of the system.
Yeah. One of the books, that everything we talk about on the show is actually encouraging me to read. So one of the books that I've been reading, Code of the Extraordinary Mind, just talks about how we've been conditioned to follow a culture, and so some people vote because they choose who they vote because they've been conditioned to follow a certain culture, and in their culture of voting, it's just what they do, rather than question some things. These are no was it Hillary or was it Trump? And that became a big lesson for some youngers because they were not necessarily aware of the electoral college. It's not something that they really, maybe they weren't. I don't know if they were still make it a focus in school. We don't know, but you've got to do your own research a lot of times to in both parties and the political process itself to understand what you need to do to vote and then what you need to do to hold people accountable. That's all you can ask for. That's it.
Okay, but we completely forget about an election. The only time that we are cognitive about an election is when it comes down to election year. The few months before,
Right.
prior to the election, we tune in to see what's about to happen, and then we totally check out.
After that, you're right.
Not the night after, but the night after the night after. We check
Right.
completely out,
You're right. And we
and
only
we go back to
pay
business as
attention
usual.
to when it's a presidential election. We just pay attention to that when you and I both agree that like really it's the state elections that affect you. I mean, directly. That's what affects you directly. You need to be more aware of that. But there again, where's you talked about the NBA? Where's the money coming from? Again, in politics, where does the money come from? The money comes from presidential elections, having a national figure, raising money off that person, dividing people, making it more of they're trying to take from you, so you better do this kind of, message, and it drives money into their pockets. You asked about where the money is coming from for the NBA to do this. I don't know. Maybe we'll see later who's putting the money up. We know that the NFL has gotten money from the armed forces, to do their special soldiers recognition type thing. There's been money exchanged for that, so it wasn't necessarily genuine. I'm not saying that they didn't mean it in a good way, but they got paid. So we want to see if the NBA is genuine about this, or were there dollars behind it?
Okay, but with that one, the way you way you package it up into patriotism, and we
Right.
salute you and this, that, and the third. But then, what better way to recruit
It's a
young,
recruiting. Yes.
impressionable young
Yes.
men versus putting this out during a football game on Sunday?
Right. No, you're right.
So we need you. You have something that we want. No, you have something that I want, and the other party is, I got something you need. You need me to raise your recruitment up. I got you. But gonna have to come down to some sort of negotiation to where it's beneficial for you and you get what you want and I get what I want.
Right.
And it's not a compromise. But then we have to get back to when you said that voting along culture lines. A lot of people don't even have a clear and concise definition of what culture is, and culture is merely the way we do things. That's all a culture is how we do things, how we conduct ourselves. That is a culture.
Yeah.
The
I
price
agree.
of doing business. That's what culture is.
Right.
And we as Black people, we have most definitely gotten so far away from culture to individualism, do my own thing. I gotta get this bag, and whether I gotta zip you up in a bag or not, I gotta get to this bag, and that's the only thing that matters. My kids gotta eat.
Right. When you talk about culture, that's a really deeper conversation. There are some things in the culture that they're just there, and you don't question it. And in that book that I'm reading is, I don't agree with everything about it. I'll share the title with you. But there are things. There's two realities. And I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but he said there's an absolute reality, and there's a cultural reality for you. Sort of the term he used, to where the absolute is, water's wet. We know that. But that cultural reality is where, okay, you've got to follow this rule, you've got to marry this type of person, or you've got to follow this type of religion because this is what we do. And that's usually the when a kid is young, that's usually the why question. Well, why do we do this? Well, why is it like this? Why? When they're asking those type of questions, those are the things that they're trying to present to them as this is a truth. This is a an absolute truth when it's really not. It's just built on cultural beliefs. And I think as the world gets smaller, as digital media has grown, the world has gotten smaller, and people are getting away from that and starting to form their own opinions. And there are some who choose to do a little more research than others, which we applaud that. And I think that's helping to develop different minds, different mindsets, different thinking. One day, there's probably going to be, or there should have always been, there's going to be more than two political parties in the United States, two major political parties. There should already be probably three or four, but um, we're still kind of coming out of that old way of doing things.
But then it gets back to your Tea Party, your Green Party, your Independence, all the rest of those. We don't push those, um, and people don't understand. You can formulate your own movement, and you can start your own political party. But it has to be able to serve
Yeah,
the interests of the people and not be self-serving.
and that will we're gonna wrap it up on that one because I think that is the biggest problem, self-serving. But that we're gonna wrap this segment up because I definitely don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole. I think there's just gonna be times we're gonna be able to come back to this and discuss it some more. But I wanted to just really quickly switch gears to before we get into your toxic Avenger topic. Um, your thoughts on we've come to the end of P Valley, and we've talked about P Valley a lot on this show. We may have even thrown some new listeners their way. I felt like season two was a roller coaster. It was really rocky. There were some things on it I didn't like, but we have come to the end of season two. And again, we always say this, if you haven't seen it, we don't want to ruin it for you, but we're gonna dish out a few spoilers. But I was a little disappointed by the end of season two, and wanted to know what your thoughts were. I just thought it wasn't at that. I was expecting that big climactic finish. Um, I was expecting something else to happen with Keyshawn and what did happen, but and there is definitely already know one character that is not coming back. But what were your thoughts on the season ending episode for P Valley?
The only shocker to me was the Mayor Woodbine,
Yeah,
um, her. That was pretty much the only shocker. Keyshawn's story, that one had to happen. I just didn't know how it was going to play out. I had predicted that Big Bone was going to tip Derek off, but I knew that Derek was going to get tipped off. I just thought it was coming from her.
yeah,
Um, but I knew that she was not going to be able to get away clean. And it's kind of that old adage that girls like her, good things don't happen to.
yeah. That you can kind of see. I think she's adopted that feeling that no matter how good things are looking, there's another shoe that's going to drop and it's not going to be good. I thought she was going to actually get shot, just the way it was going. I knew she wasn't going to make it out. I thought he was going to kill her. But you know, she has that basically that breakdown. He She's being charged with child abuse, or and they take her to jail, and she's something. She loses it. Now she's away from her kids. She makes the call. She actually really tries to have him killed. That doesn't happen. But I thought her husband was going to take her out. Now her whole life is about her kids, and now she's facing going to jail. Who knows what happens in season 3, but that's how it ends. That cliffhanger ends on for her on season 2, with her getting locked up and going to jail.
You see how her story is being exchanged with Mercedes. How Mercedes lost her children,
Right.
and how she's actually able to recover and then have her life come full circle. Keyshawn's her circle, it just keeps continuing to spin, and it's spinning out of control. Um, the thing that you were saying about waiting on the shoe to drop,
Yeah.
how can you not continue to wait for the shoe to drop when the shoes keep being dropped on your head? You keep getting shoes left and right, and when the lady from CPS was talking, and what she was hearing and what the lady was saying did not match up. You're stupid. You never do anything right. This is your fault.
Yeah.
Those were those shoes that she had been continuously being pelted with
Right.
all of her life. And when he pulled that card, the CPS card on her, I was like, man, you MFer. You played the game exactly like how it was supposed to be played.
Right.
But he got her. And then when she attacked him, that only closed the door and locked her in a cell.
Man, real quickly, I want to just shout out people that have checked in tonight. I want to say hello to Dawn. What's up, Brandon? Ronnie and Renita all have checked in, and we appreciate all the love and watching in the comments. So thank you for that. But yeah, you're right with Keyshawn. That's the thing that I really was impressed with about P Valley. You know, regardless of what you may think by the trailer, that the writing and the directing was so good, so strong. There were so many moments where things that are not written, that are not spoken on the screen, but they weigh in big, or they're not spoken directly by a character, but they weigh in big. That moment where she is being told that the kids, there's been child protection services is here to get the kids. She starts hearing those negative comments from her stepmother, her childhood, and how hey, you failed again, you're no good, you're this, you're that. Again, kind of focusing on the weight that she's carried with her into adulthood. The same thing happens in an unspoken moment with Lil Murder when he sees his reflection in the mirror, and he sees like 8 different reflections of himself, and his struggle of wanting to be who he is, trying to make that decision of, do I want to really be who I am, or do I want to ride this fame train and hold back who I am so I can collect this money. And he sees his reflection, and he actually has to make a choice. And he's discussing it with Clifford, and Clifford's the one, of course they have a relationship, romantically, but Clifford's the one that's telling him, you can't do this. This, almost to the point Clifford doesn't feel like he deserves it, and that's their argument he has. But he says something really key in that discussion, is he feels like Lil Murder feels like he's the reason T took his life. And he says, I'm the reason. If I had been okay with being who I am, and discuss, being more open with him about it, maybe he wouldn't have taken his life. And that was another big moment in the directing and writing on that show, is when Lil Murder has to face all of who he is and decide which one he wants to be.
That conversation That's pretty much a unspoken conversation that people have with one another, especially when one person doesn't feel like they deserve, that they have not done enough, or they have not been enough to deserve love, happiness, a relationship, a great job, a great life. They haven't done anything in order to have these things. So people suffer in silence with that, and then they drag people along in their suffering as well too, because they don't want to suffer alone. Um, the interesting portion about him making a decision. She made a decision with no plan. I'm getting ready to be LaMarcus, but who the flip is LaMarcus outside of
Right.
the sexual relationship that you man or that you've had with men? Who is LaMarcus? What is LaMarcus gonna do, and how is LaMarcus and Lil Murder, how are they going to be able to coexist to be able to push this thing forward? About like with Big Frida. Big Frida has been Big Frida regardless, and Big Frida has made it work. But Big Frida knew what it was that she was doing in order to make this work versus I'm a rapper and I'm gay. Big Frida is just Big Frida. You're not concerned with Big Frida being gay. You're not really concerned with Big Frida being a rapper. You just allow Big Frida to be Big Frida because she, and the same thing with RuPaul, they carved out their own lanes and they made it work. But with hip hop, this is a conversation that we have been needing to have for the longest, especially with our homophobicness that goes along with this pause and no homo, and the history that we have with homosexuality, it being a stain. We finally made it here to where can a rapper make it on a main stage being gay?
Well, we know what the answer to that should be, and I think yes. But I also think that I don't know that whether they're gay or not really is not important. But maybe it is to the gay culture because they have been maybe felt like they've been underrepresented. But just like artists, athletes, actors, it doesn't matter. Um, what we watch for, what we listen for, is the art itself. So what your sexual lifestyle is don't really matter.
Okay, but I'll say 90% of the hip hop is based off of how we
Yes.
where
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
where we are in life with women, how we view them, what we feel that they deserve versus what they have earned. The other 90% of that is how we treat one another. The gun violence, the way we levy the gun violence on one another. And we've made that entertaining. We've made it a spectacle, but it is a beautiful spectacle on both aspects. So, how are you going to package that you slanging D to your boy in a culture to where it's okay to degrade women, to make them less than, to make them nothing other than sexual objects? And we've done it so well, we've made them drink the Kool-Aid and ask for more. But how do you do that? How do you I'm banging dude, or I see dude and I like his booty and all the rest of that? How do you patch that when the average audience member, males that I have spoken to about people, oh man, I can't watch that.
Right.
Can't watch that. And the same thing with Wade when he told Mercedes, When he used that F word, that's what we do. That is our
Yeah.
culture.
Well, you know, you got a point there. There is a there is that heavy misogynistic, anti-gay, um, you know, atmosphere that is that has been in hip hop for a long time. And I think what's happening, with shows like this, I'm not saying everyone's gonna be like, okay, we want to see more gay sex on TV. No, they're not saying that. But I think what it does, at least it lets people have the conversation about, okay, you know what, that may not be my lifestyle, but I need to let this person have room to be who they are. Everyone joked about the movie um, Brokeback, but there was a tragedy in that movie. I watched it. The tragedy was that they couldn't accept him for who he was, so they beat on him. They beat the man to death, and it doesn't matter who they are. The man lost his life. You feel that hurt. You feel that compassion for him because they beat on him because he was different, and he wasn't going to be accepted. And so even as P Valley goes along, you start to feel compassion for the fact that Murder wants to be. At first, I thought he didn't want to be. You know, he didn't want to be. Gay. He didn't want to be gay, but no, he does, and he wants to have a open relationship with someone. He wants people to know. That's kind of how the season 2 ends, with him just coming out and being who he is. The funny part was, like, everyone already knew, you know. So he was only hiding it from himself, I guess, is a good way to put it.
He's not
So
really hiding from.
that conversation needs to start, and maybe this is what would lead to it.
Okay, but parents don't even have the conversation with their children about sex, period, be it man to man, woman to woman, woman to man, man to woman. People don't have the conversation anymore about sex, what sex actually is, the goods that come from it,
All right.
the bad that comes with it, the
Yeah.
wrong that comes with it.
Yeah. Too many
So
people are learning it from TV. They're learning it from social media. You're right. Too many
just
young
like
kids are learning it
just
from
like young boys, they learn about sex on the internet from watching porn.
there.
And
Yeah.
then they come in and then they expect every sexual experience to
Right.
be bang bros.
100%. Yes, they have this twisted view of what sex is, and and then it shows up in the relationship, and that and especially if they're with an inexperienced young woman, then she feels like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be like, and the cycle continues. So yeah, you're 100% right on that.
So I mean, if parents are not having the birds and the bees and the birds and the birds and the bees conversation, how are we ever going to have this conversation on something as mundane as hip hop?
To where
Okay, but but a lot of conversations, they need to start at the house. They need to start with the man and the woman, or the man and the man, especially if you have children. We need to have these conversations among ourselves first and foremost, versus letting our children find out out there in the street the hard way and wind up being somebody's baby daddy, somebody's baby mama, and being nothing more than. Well, looks like we lost Mr. Almond Brown. I will continue this one on until we can get him back. Possibly he is traveling in the area where he has lost reception. but hopefully we will get him back here very soon. And here we are.
Think I'm back.
Yeah, you are.
All right.
But that's the thing is that we, the parents need to have the conversation among themselves first and foremost before they can even think about having the conversation about the birds and the bees, the
Right.
birds and the birds and the bees with their children. But I mean, outside of you and Shimmy, that's why I keep calling you all the unicorn couple. You all are like these freaks of nature that everybody wants to have a relationship like you all's, but they don't see what it took for the both of you all to cultivate one another, for both of you all to get there. And that's why I mean I give her props for being whom it is that she is, to society, with her profession, whom it is that she is to her children, and whom it is that she is to you as your wife and as a member of you all's family. That takes a lot. And I'm sure she has endured a lot, just like you have endured a lot, but you all have made a way, you all have found a way to make this work for everybody in the family. And everybody has a say
Right.
so, everybody coexists, everybody wants to be in this in you all's family.
Yes. And with that, I think we're going to wrap up our review on P Valley because you segued into a part that I want to get to. Been waiting to get to all week, and with the Toxic Avenger. And you had a comment last week that you wanted to dive into on this week's show, and that is why
Why
women. Go ahead. Give
why
us the topic.
why the average woman can never get what it is that she wants.
Ooh, man, that's
Simply
rough.
put, simply put, you have no negotiation skills. None whatsoever. The relationship is free. Everything else is sold separately. It takes nothing to get into a relationship, to get involved with someone, but then you want all the other the extras that come along with it, and they're supposed to just be given to you. But you have no means of negotiating anything, especially when it comes to fidelity. It's an expectation. It's
Yeah.
not a negotiation. You are expected not to cheat because I don't want you to cheat. But as a man, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. The one thing that I have not done that I have always wanted to do, I would like to have sex with a little person.
Okay. Hold on. Wait. Okay. The views expressed by the Toxic Avenger are not representative of the franchise Shelfspace, the podcast. They are the views of the individual. Now that you
They're mine.
said
They're mine.
that you want to have, repeat that again. You said you wanted to have sex with a little person.
Little person. I
Okay.
can't say the M word because that is a slur. But I
That's
do.
a slur.
But I
Okay.
but I can't. I cannot because I am in a full-fledged relationship. I can't. So I have to sit back and me not cheating is not based on love. It's based on I know it's gonna make her upset and it's gonna make my life painful.
Okay. One. Okay. Here's what Almond Brown believes. You can do anything you want.
No,
Okay. You
no,
can do it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
no, no,
Yes.
you
Yes, sir.
cannot. No, you cannot.
You can
No,
do
you
anything
cannot.
you want.
'Cause when
You
she drive
just
that
have
hammer,
to be ready for whatever circumstances. Like you
no,
can't
bro.
control how someone else is going to react about it, but you can do what you want.
No, 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 you cannot. Don't believe that. Now the views expressed by Almond Brown are not co-signed by Headache Stub Mitchell.
Listen, I'm I'm telling you from you can do what you want. And if Shimmy was here, she'd agree with me. You can do what you want. You just have to be ready for whatever circumstances, you know. So if your deep down desire is to, lay up with a little person, okay, then you know what? You may need to share your views with your significant other, and then go for it.
Every week, this man make me walk off camera to get myself together to go
Where
compose
are you
myself
walking
to
off?
re-enter back into this conversation that he wants me to legally have with him. Here we go. Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Let's travel that route. Let's go down
let's
that
do it.
road there.
Let's do it.
Let's
You
go down
brought it
that
up.
dirty road right there.
Let's go.
How do you do that? How do you propose to a woman, I want to have sex with someone else that is not you, and it is not personal, and she not take it personal?
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I didn't say you can control how she reacts to it. I just said you can do it. You can do it. Just like you said, you can go to her and have that conversation. And keep going. You can go to her, have that conversation, put it to you like you put it to her, just like you just said. She obviously is going to have some questions for you. She may not even believe you, honestly. But,
No questions, straight argument, and it always starts with what the flip.
well, I mean, that's a fair question. That's a fair comment.
How was it fair? How is it a fair question?
Okay, we're talking about how women struggle to do what they want.
Of course.
Relationship, you have some rules, you have set some boundaries. I would assume, right?
No, we don't. We don't set rules. We don't set boundaries. We don't even. We as men have gone so far as to not asking a woman to be our girl. We hang out for 3 months, and then all of a sudden we're in a
Oh,
relationship.
okay,
And my
that's the
thing with
okie
that
doke.
one is,
The okie
and my
doke.
thing
Yeah,
with that one is with not asking a woman. I mean, asking a woman to be your girl. Where the boundaries set up? Where's the expectations drawn in the sand? What do you
well, okay.
expect out of me? What do I expect out of you? We kicking it until something happens.
Well, you're talking about the okie doke move, where you go out with her long enough, you spent money on her, you spent time with her. Now she should assume that y'all are now a couple.
No,
Okay,
she assumes that we are a couple because you've been removed from the game for a couple of days
right,
now,
right, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
we kicking it, and then we just kicking it until we just ain't kicking it no more. Because
Okay,
if I have to hang a
done that.
label on
I've done
you,
that. I've done that in my
if I have to
20s.
hang a label on you, then that means I have to be responsible for that
Right.
label.
Yes.
Okay, but if
Yeah.
I don't hang the label on what it is that we're doing, we just kicking it.
But
And
that's a
then
way out.
and
Okay,
then and
that's
then I
not
done effed
committing.
around, and then I done effed around, and I'm in a relationship now.
Right, but that's not committing. What you're trying to do is have the relationship but not commit, which is why obviously a woman is going to struggle negotiating and making compromises in something that you won't even establish as a relationship. She's going to sound crazy every time she brings something up that sounds like a boundary or a rule, because you can change it at any moment. So you can't really say women struggle getting what they want. They struggle getting what they want with somebody who won't commit.
They struggle with getting what it is that they want because there is no negotiations. There is, I have the power, you have no leverage.
Mm,
If you want to continue with this, you will do what it is that I say. You will become what it is that I want you to become. There is no negotiation where what is it going to take for me? Whom do I have to be to keep you from cheating on me? Versus you better not cheat on me or I'm gonna cut your wing off. That's how the cheating conversation goes. What is it going to take for us to take this relationship to the next level? versus we've been together for 22 years. I got 8 of your kids. When are we gonna get married?
8 of them. God, no. She should have asked that at kid 2. But
Okay, why not do the negotiations prior to? And you
okay,
know, I always go back to your max contract statement. I love that one. I love that you hung that one on me. That women offer me the max contract
right.
for the tryout. I sit down at their max contract and I walk away. But the thing that you fail to realize is with this max contract that they're offering, they've offered the same exact max contract to a dude less than me. Put up the numbers that I put up. That does not do the encouragement that I've done. That the only thing they had to do for game day, lace them up and sit on a bench, and they got max contract. That's why I won't take your max contract. Because the same contract that you gave them is the same one that you're giving me. No perks, no incentives, nothing else.
Okay.
So your
See,
max contract is laughable to me.
this is why we talk about mental health awareness on this show, okay, and emotional health on this show, because I think what you're saying is what you're really saying is women want to they have no leverage. You're saying they have no leverage in the relationship because
No, no, let's
they
stop there. Let's
can't.
stop there. Let's
No,
stop there. Let's
I'm
stop there.
trying to
Let's stop.
parse out what you said. That's what you said.
Because no, what I said was women have power. With this power, they feel that men have no leverage. That is whom I appointed the word leverage to, is that
Okay.
men have been taught that they don't have any leverage, and that is not the truth. Men have leverage.
Now, okay, I'm all right. Help me follow this because you started out with saying that women don't negotiate well when um when it comes to fidelity. They're not negotiating well. Did you not say that?
That is true. They don't.
Okay.
It's not
Oh,
that they don't negotiate well, they don't negotiate all. It's a hostile takeover when it comes to fidelity. You better not cheat on me or I'm gonna cut your winger off. That's the negotiation portion.
okay. Well,
Sex
all
with
right.
another person is not an option. It is not an option.
Well,
It is not a
let me tell you
negotiation.
something. Hold on. I did see a show on Netflix about polygamy or whatever it's called. Polyamorous.
Polyamory.
Polyamory. So it is. You just gotta again. You gotta find the right person. You gotta find the right person. Okay, if that's what you want. If you want, sex with a little person,
I want it with
and
you though. I want it with her.
oh, oh,
I want it with her.
okay,
I want it.
you gotta get put these pronouns in the right place
I
now.
understand it, and that's why I corrected myself on the scene because I know that that can turn into a soundbite, especially coming off of the P Valley conversation. I want it
Yeah,
from her.
yeah.
I love you. I love you as a woman. I love you as my woman, but
Right.
I want to sex with someone else. It's nothing personal. It is
That
physical.
is personal.
It's not personal. It's physical.
Well, no, but to her, in her world,
Thank you.
for her, it's
Thank you.
personal. But you have to
Thank you.
accept that. You
Thank you.
can't rewrite her rules for her.
But the rules, the only rule that has been put in place is you better not.
But look,
It is
just
not
like
up for conversation.
we were talking. I was talking to you about that book I'm reading, Code of the Extraordinary Mind. There's absolute truths and there's relative truths.
And
Okay,
the absolute truth is,
absolute truth is you can be a little person. If that's what you want to be. You can be with a little person.
See, here we go. We about to do this. You can have what you want. You can do what you want,
Her
but you just
value
gotta be willing to pay for it.
is
But you just gotta be willing to pay for it. And I get all of that. I understand that there's consequences and repercussions to everything. I am well aware of that by the way that I lead my life and by the way that I say things. I get all of that. Because for the things that I do say, there are a whole lot more things that I don't say. That's why I threw that out there about having sex with a little person. Because it's an honest, absolute truth. I do. But I'm in a relationship. And as far as the rules have been determined, what that is, discussing having sex with someone else is not an option. I can have the conversation.
her.
I'm comfortable with having the conversation. If she came to me and said, I love you to death, I want to be with you, I just want to have sex with somebody else. Okay. What does that mean? Does that mean that the relationship is over? Does that mean that you get to do this on a consistent basis? What does this mean? And then we can take it from there, from the negotiation standpoint. But we don't do. But see, I'm a different freak of nature myself, and I got here. That is one of the wonderful things about being cheated on, is because there's nothing else you can do to me. There's nothing else that can happen to me that could make me, bam, it's over. That's it. So after that one, if you feel like you want to have sex with someone else,
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why you did that.
go ahead.
You you've detached your emotions from that. You put up a wall.
Honestly, or is that an absolute truth?
I mean, okay. That is an observation. That is not an absolute truth, but it's just.
Is that not an absolute truth? That people want to have sex, that people possibly want to have sex with someone else other than ourselves. Is that not an absolute truth? Is that not an absolute option?
That is hold on. I can't speak for everybody.
And I'm not either.
But that is a truth for many people. Yes. That is a truth for many people. But then they make a choice. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you could make a choice.
I made my choice. I made my choice. And it's not gonna happen so long as I'm in a relationship with her. And it's not because I'm afraid of her. It's just that I don't want to deal with what comes along with it. So this is a part of my truth. As we talked about with Lil Murda facing his truth, this is a portion of my truth that I gotta deal with it so long as I'm in this relationship. But I am not going to end a relationship on a premise that I'm going to go have sex with a little person and then come back to this. I'm not going to do that. But it is an absolute truth that people do want to have sex with other people, that they are sexually attracted to someone else. Now, how they act upon that sexual attraction, that is something that is completely different. That is the absolute truth that I'm speaking of.
That's not going to change. That is there. That is
okay,
there.
But we as men, we don't think that being an absolute truth. We have
the dignity of choice. We can make a choice.
We as men, our absolute truth is, I got this coochie on lock. She ain't going nowhere. I put the D down every night, and that is not an absolute truth. And that is an ego basher that would destroy a lot of men. She would be honest and say, you're not knocking the home every night. You hitting it, up to the fence, but you ain't knocked it over the fence. And you are not knocking it over the fence. But getting back, because we're getting away from this thing about women not having negotiation skills. The reason that women don't have negotiation skills, they don't need them. If you don't need negotiating skills,
I disagree with a lot of that. You absolutely need to be able to negotiate and compromise if you're in a relationship with someone. In a relationship.
Where?
In all aspects of the relationship.
Where?
All aspects.
Come on now, you giving me absolute BS here. You're not
I'm
giving me
telling
something concrete.
you. Okay, you want
Where?
concrete?
Give me an
You,
example. Give me
you need
concrete. Give me concrete.
compromise. Let me tell you, you need to be able to compromise. You need to be able to negotiate when it comes to household finances. You need to be able to compromise and negotiate when it comes to activity in the bedroom. Compromise and negotiate what y'all want to do on the weekend. When both of you are off. Do you want to go to a movie or you want to go, um, skating? There's every aspect of the relationship is give and take, give and take, give and take, compromise and negotiate. Okay. The thing is, in a relationship, to make it work, I think in order to give that person, make them feel they have the power to have that discussion, is we always talk about it, be able to communicate, but also give them that safe space to be able to say what it is that they want or how they're feeling. And it sounds like you don't have the safe space to be able to say that you want to bone a little person.
No, I have the safe space is normally taken away at the beginning of the relationship of you better not cheat on me. And that's not just from my perspective. That's on the average that cheating is not an option. And excuse me, I won't even say cheating because cheating not be an option in any relationship.
Well, the whole "you better not cheat on me" that's a flag. That's a red flag. What does that mean? What exactly that mean?
It
Because
means
if it does
it
happen, what are you?
means I am your absolute. You thinking about being involved with somebody else on any level, be it sexually, be it emotionally, it's out the window. It's not an option. Or you wind up in there getting beat up in the elevator.
Well, I mean, when you go into a relationship with somebody, that is discussed, unless it's an open, unless you got one of them,
It's
Monique things
implied.
going
It's
on,
not discussed. It's implied that it's going to be me and you.
right? It
It's
should be.
implied. It's not a discussion. It's an implication because I already know what the average man already knows that a woman cannot handle being in an open relationship because they view it as competition, and whether they want to know it or not, you're in competition anyway. With a lot of you all wanting the same lottery ticket, you don't want a man, you want a lottery ticket, and all of you all are fighting over the same small batch of lottery tickets. It's only like 5 lottery tickets out there, but it's like 50 million women, and somebody has to lose.
Well, not necessarily, because on a polyamorous show that I saw, they had worked out a pretty good system.
A black woman, the average black woman being a sister wife. That's possible.
you
How do
know,
you sell that to a how do you sell that to a black woman
well,
being
you
a
get her to
sister
watch,
wife when it's when it when
her to
it
watch
when it
polyamorous.
that
This is
is
how it
on
works.
that is on the same level as men being homosexual and it being cool. It's on the same level. That I come to
Mm.
you and say, how about we try an open relationship? How about polyamory? And as a matter of fact, I'll let you pick the girl. Same thing that we talked about
I think
threesomes.
I think you watched the same show I did. That's exactly how it happened. That's exactly how it happened. She picked the girl, and I think they
Okay,
ended up
but you
like
told me I was crazy. You told me I was crazy when I told
no,
you that those are the rules to a threesome.
no.
You told
I
me
didn't say
you
you
talking
were
about
crazy. I didn't say you were
you
crazy.
it's got to be rules now.
Right. I'm
What kind of
saying
rules?
what
What
I'm
kind
saying
of
is
rules are in a threesome?
what hold on. What I'm saying is for the person you're referencing, that is not for her, but you can find somebody who will be okay with the little person jumping in bed with y'all. I'm not telling you to go do it. I'm just saying if that's what you want, then okay, you got to find someone that's okay with that.
Okay, now since Donna's got in here, and I appreciate her comment where she says more women than you think can handle an open relationship. It's the lying and sneaking around associated with cheating that women take issue with.
Mm,
That is why. That is why, Dawn. That is why I said I am capable of handling the conversation that if my woman came to me and said that she want to have sex with somebody else, we can have that conversation.
hell no.
Thank you. This is your boy. It's your boy. Dawn, it's your boy.
Oh man. Well, look, that's for some people. Okay.
Okay, and we want to dig into Ronnie because we don't want Ronnie to be able to not have his voice heard as well. If that is a condition of the relationship, it's a welcome condition to the relationship.
Oh, so
Now with the
basically,
threesome, now with the threesome, this is not necessarily where there is a man and a man taking part in this.
the,
We
wait, wait,
we
wait.
we now what we used to call it was a man, two men, and a woman. That's not a threesome. That's a train.
Okay, okay. Don just made a great comment. A healthy relationship can withstand that conversation.
Thank you,
Yes,
Dawn.
yes.
Thank you.
No, no, no.
Get your man's
That's
in
what I'm
them.
saying.
Get your man's in
No,
them.
because I'm saying is, if you have a healthy, you have a safe space to have the conversation. The conversation, okay. But
But
don't just assume that once you had the conversation, y'all have talked about it, but it ain't come to really no conclusion that you about to
that's
go
not
out there.
that's
You
not.
got to
I'm not
go
even going there. I'm
find
not
you
even going
a
there.
fans and get her and bring her home. That's not
I'm
happening.
I'm going with what for what you just did when you looked down at your lap and shook your head when you took your eyes off the road and you looked down and you took it you shook your head with the H no. Heck no.
Well, right, right, right.
Where's the healthy conversation in that and that was by your own doing, not by mine. Don, get your
It's
man's.
a
He needs your
conversation.
help. What is Don's comments? Because Don
It's a
needs the help of you.
conversation. Me saying hell no is a conversation.
That's not a conversation. That's the shutdown that I just spoke about. So I may as
Look,
well not even waste my time
I didn't
if
say I didn't say hell no. I'm a,
you implied
I'm gonna
it.
get
I did.
some. I'm gonna get a needle and thread and sew it up. I didn't say that. I just said hell no. That's it.
Exactly. So there is no point or purpose of having the conversation. It's the
No, the
same thing with
conversation,
mine.
the conversation can be had because I'm like, this is what
Don,
needs to happen when we
Don,
talk about negotiation and
please,
compromising.
Don.
Is both sides need to express where they stand. Both sides
Pl-
express where they stand. Have the
please,
conversation.
Don.
Have the
Please,
conversation.
Don. Don. Get your mans in them.
I'm
Please.
agreeing. I'm agreeing to the fact the conversation should be had. Yes.
What's the purpose of having a conversation when you've already shut the conversation down in your mind? That's disingenuous.
Okay. No. 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 No.
There
I'm
is
not.
no negotiation. There is no negotiation there. There is no okay. You want to have sex with a man. This is what I need to be comfortable for you to have sex with another man. You have already taken the conversation off of the table. So it makes no point of having a conversation of, yo, it ain't nothing. It's an indecent proposal without the proposal, and I just want to try it out. That's it. And then it's oh hell no, that's it. Game over. We ain't talking about it's over. So what you saying? You don't love me no more? What you saying? You what you want to be a little thought or something out here in these streets? We take it someplace where they were not even intending to take it. Oh, so now I done married a hole
Right.
now.
Because you play. You playing, that's right. You playing a whole conversation in your head, a whole fight in your head, which we're good
Thank
at
you.
doing.
Thank
I
thank
will
you.
admit that we're good
Thank
at
you.
doing. We're good at doing.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
but what the expression is, something, I'm not comfortable with that.
While we're waiting on Almond Brown to get back, Dawn, Ronnie's comment of what man would want another man to satisfy his wife? What if it's her desire? What if that is what it is that she wants?
Hold on.
There are a lot of people that do like swinging. That swinging is an option. There are a lot of dudes, but dudes get labeled as cuckolds because he's sitting there watching his wife being pleased by another man. Thank you, Ronnie. That is the premise behind this one as well too. A lot of men cannot handle this conversation. Just like I stated, a lot of men could not handle if their woman came out and told them they are not knocking it out of the park every night. They will take that as he has never satisfied her ever in his life, and that's not what she's saying. Don, I do think that our wants, our needs, and our desires that they should be communicated. I honestly do. We should have a sore place to fall, as I always call it. We should have a sore place to fall where one can be themselves. This is who I am, instead of this is how I am. So yes, they should have that, and men should have that. Women should have that as well too. But we all suffer in silence, thinking more is going to not happen than what could possibly happen. And it's not worth the conversation if one is going to just totally shut down the conversation from the rip with, you know, no, we need to talk this. It's just over. You've already formulated in your mind the conversation is over. And I can't wait for him to get back because this is by his own doing. And we're supposed to be able to have open and honest dialect between one another. But then again, you've already shut the conversation down in your mind. So, I mean, what good does that do? So, I am all for happiness in relationships. Matter of fact, that is the hammer that I swing. I do feel that both parties should be able to be happy in a relationship, but it has to come down to being able to negotiate the obstacles that come along in relationships versus being totalitarian with this is the way that things are going to be, um, versus, I don't know, nothing happening at all. And then that's where your cheating comes in, where one feels like something, but they can't get it. I had one of my boys wanted a motorcycle, and we joked him to death about him wanting a motorcycle. But moms controlled the conversation, and having a motorcycle was not an option. And I mean, I felt bad for him, but that's the way things went. And then the relationship broke down. And the first thing that he did was he went and bought a motorcycle. And I did ask him if trading the motorcycle for his family was it worth it. And he looked me dead in the eye and he told me yes, it was worth it. And all that I could do is accept it as the truth, as absolute truth, because it was worth it to him. But I do want to thank you all for hanging out. I think this is the place where we're going to wrap this up. I thank you all for your time. Hopefully, I was able to spark some conversation. Sorry that we're ending the stream a little short. No, it's not. Dawn, it's not that it's because a man is hitting it out of the park, and he is a human being first and foremost. No, I'll go ahead and I'll give you the answer now. A woman is a human being. She has her own set of desires. Expressing those desires, that is a totally different animal all in its own. Just as I was stating to Ronnie about swinging, it happens. But one has to be in a comfortable place in their relationship to conversation can be had. Now the man want to have sex with a little person out of curiosity. It's not even out of curiosity. It's a fetish. It's something that you don't see every day. And it's not like I'm expecting rainbows and unicorns to sprout out of her vagina, because that's not going to happen. It's just the fetishness of it. And I hate to use that word and levy that word against another person, but I mean it's an honest truth. It's a fetish. And men not being able to handle women having sex or entertaining the thought of having sex with another man is ego driven. And once the man can conquer his ego, then any conversation on the face of this earth that we can have. Ronnie, do you honestly believe that? That a woman, she can handle a man stepping out on her better than a man accepting his woman cheating? Because I think with the handling of a man stepping out, it comes with the 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 shame and the stain of, girl, you stupid. If it were me, I wouldn't put up with that. Or the statement that I love to hear women say all the flipping time of, you deserve better. Better. And this thing with negotiation. A lot of women, they do get what it is that they deserve because this is where you are at that place in your life. The same thing with Uncle Clifford and the place where he is in his life, and not accepting something good happening to him. So that is what he felt that he deserved, and his negotiation standpoint of that is letting Lil Murder go to do and be Lil Murder. And if Lil Marcus comes back, then that is something that we can entertain at that time. But right now, I can't handle either one of them. And Ronnie, it's not that I don't want my woman stepping out on me. That is not what it is. What it is having the conversation beforehand, not the conversation of afterwards of, yeah, I cheated on you. That's not the conversation that I want to have. That's not the conversation that I have never put out there to tell me afterwards. Let me know the rules of the game up front, and then let me decide on if I want to play or not. So if that is what it is that she wants to do, you don't have to step out. Just like I have given my woman the same option from the rip. Anytime that you don't want to be here, don't pretend like you want to be here. You are free to go whenever it is that you want to go. And I know it sounds like it's cold and it's callous and it sounds like I don't care, but that's not it. I want you to totally be yourself for whatever it is. And if my cup of tea, not the cup that you want to drink out of, I'm cool with that. I'm comfortable with that. Go ahead. So it's not about the stepping out, because I've had the stepping out thing happen to me. So I can handle it. Like I said, after that one, once it gets to that level, and I understand what Dawn was saying about it's the lie, and it's the sneaking around, and it's the withholding of the truth. I get that. So therefore, as a man and being the man that I am, take your best punch. I am still going to be standing at the end of the day. Now, who's standing next to me, whether it's you or somebody else, that's my power and that's my decision. So if we're gonna do that, we should be able to. And that's the thing that got me when you were saying about the you and Shimmy, y'all are best friends. But with being best friends, and the reason I don't get that is best friends, or at least me and the crew, no matter how painful it is, we can talk about anything and everything. That's what we do. So best friends in a relationship, I don't
Conver-
what so that's the portion that I was getting at is the whatever you have to say, go ahead and say it. Looking at a man that's been called ugly, stupid, arrogant, self-centered, selfish, you'll never be anything, your family will never be anything. I'm taking these shots on my life. That's your truth. That's not mine. So whatever you got to say, go ahead and say it. Then we can sit down and I know where you are, and then we can have a conversation as long as I get an opportunity to rap as well too, versus you saying what you have to say, and then I'm just supposed to accept it. I'm not doing that one. I'm not that much of a man to do that one. So if we need to have a conversation, whatever it is that's on your mind or your heart, let's go ahead and we can talk about it. Okay, you all had to put in the work in order to get there. And that's what a lot of young ladies nowadays, they're not willing to put in the work in order to get what it is that they want. You want you want to take $1, buy this lottery ticket, scratch it off, and get $5 million for something you haven't done. And something that you're most times that you're not willing to do. So how are you supposed to get what it is that you want if you're not willing to invest back into the relationship? That you reap rewards of what it is that they have given you, and then there's nothing to give back other than lip and sex that you control. And that's 9 times out of 10, that is the bargaining chip with young ladies nowadays is having access to sex. That is the bargaining chip that if you make me mad, don't think about getting none. And you better not go out there and go get it from somebody else. Ronnie, it's not a deal breaker. The- because with that one, the deal breaker is not stepping out in the last 6 months, whether it was stepping out in the last 100,000 years. The determining factor with that one is where were you when this happened? What actually was going on, and not whose fault was what, and what one person was not doing, or what somebody else was doing. But what was going on at that time? That would be the determining factor of whether I stay in a relationship or not. Versus F that. But I'm not looking. That's why the door is always open with the conversation that just
That's right. That's right, Ronnie. That's right, Ronnie.
just say it. So I am in full agreement that if you go looking for trouble, you'll find it, which is the reason why I don't answer my old lady's phone. I don't pick it up. If it rings, I don't even look in that direction because it's her phone. And if I start digging through her phone, I'm gonna find something like, and I'm gonna make something out of it that isn't necessarily the truth. It's my truth in my own twisted mind versus the actual truth. So no, I don't go looking for nothing. You should be able to bring it to me. But don't know we built for the hard conversations. Oh, take that back,
If there is
Donna.
no
Take that back.
trust,
Take that back.
right? There's no
Take that back.
trust. There's no relationship.
Take that back. Take that back. You can walk that back. It's possible to be in a relationship with somebody that you have no trust in. You just know how
No,
far. Stop. Stop. You know exactly how far to let them in. If I know
I
that I
don't.
can't trust you, I can trust you up to. I can trust you up to the bottom of the hole, and that's where it's gonna stop. And then I deal
That's
with you. I deal with
that's
you
what
from
she's
that.
saying. No, no, no.
I
That's what she.
deal with
If there's no trust, there's no boundaries. There's no.
there is
There are no rules.
there are rules. There may not be any discussed rules, but there are rules. And the rule is I can trust you from my front door down to the end of the hall. Now you could peek in the living room, you could peek in the kitchen, you could peek in the dining room. Don't necessarily mean that I'm going to allow you to cross this line.
She's just saying if there's no trust, one day you feel like you could trust them from that door to that door. The next
There's
day
no
you
growth.
can't.
There's no growth.
There's no set expert. You don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know what you're working with here. The Go back to Don's early comment, and the key was a healthy relationship. There's always going to be room for there always should be room for a safe discussion. Safe discussion,
Should be.
right?
That is
That's a
implied.
healthy
That is not
relationship.
actual. That's not an actual. It's implied that there should be. But there's a
No, it
safe
shouldn't be
place.
implied. That should be what a building block for it. That should
It's
be
a
a building block.
hypothetical. That's a hypothetical. That's not an actual truth. Because if that were an actual truth, a lot of relationships would be more successful than what they are right now.
Oh, right,
So
right. No, no, you're
that's
right.
what should happen. But it's not
Right,
what that is not what does happen. So it's not an
right.
absolute truth.
Back to your original statement, and that was why women struggle, to negotiate and compromise in a relationship is because both sides won't establish that safe space. I've got to do this. I've got to be this way in order to have this, to cash that lottery ticket. This is what I got. But you know what? In order for him to keep me, we don't even want to entertain this discussion, or we don't even want to entertain this topic. And that's it. Hard, fast rules, no room for discussion.
It's just like speaking with a gentleman last night, and I asked him about he wants something from a young lady. Is there a negotiation process with this? He told
Well, it
me,
depends on what they're talking about.
because I told him, this thing where you taking a woman out, but you want some coochie. But then again, it's implied, it's not communicated.
Well, you can't.
So
Let me
at the,
tell you,
so at
you
the
can't
end of the night,
imply.
and that's what I was about to say. That's not a safe thing to imply to someone, because
That's
it's
right.
something that plays in a woman's head when she walks out of her house, that I have the potential of being raped or this going sideways if I don't do what it is that you want me to do, or because you took me to this fancy restaurant, and if I don't put out,
Got to
they might be
communicate.
pulling this. And a lot of dudes don't understand that. Versus, and like I told him, instead of that being an implication, why is it not? It's something that you want to do, and she's along for the ride. So whatever happens at the end of the night, it happens organically. So if nothing happens, it just don't happen.
It's got to be communicated.
But we don't communicate. We as men don't communicate that. Our communication happens in the form of implications. It's always implied that you
That's how you
down with
get.
the program, that you with
That's
it.
how you
You
get
with the
locked up.
program. That you with the program. And a lot of women are not with the program.
That's how you get locked up right there.
And that's how you get mad. Same thing with Keyshawn. Same thing with Keyshawn in Oh Boy. When it was implied, I'm doing this stuff for you, and you're gonna give it up after the shoe deal. I done got you away from your dude. I done got you in a safe space. I'm putting money in your pocket. I got you on tour. Time for me to cash this lottery ticket in, sweetheart. And you with it?
Now, Ronnie says most women know prior to the date if she wants to be sexually active. In most cases, the man messes things up for himself. Okay, I've heard that a lot. From females, they absolutely say, "Yep, I've made a decision already. We're waiting to see
Yeah,
how the night plays out." Okay.
yeah. But then again, we as dudes, we shame her if she has sex on the first date when that's what we're working for.
No, not everybody. Not everybody.
I
Not
just
everybody.
come on now. I don't do blanket statements that covers everybody. This is a broad statement, and this is on average where dudes are working to get the sex on the first date, and then when they get it, use a hoe, and then you want to do all this other stuff versus her making a decision. I've already made the decision to have sex with you a long time ago. When we first met, in that first 5 minutes, I knew I could picture myself having sex with you. And then it happens. But I do agree with Ronnie that women have made the decision prior to, in a lot of cases, how far it is going to take or what you have to do in order to get the cookies. I do get that one. I do agree with that one. And during that, how do you have a relationship with a person up to a point? You know them, you get to know them. And then once they make it to that level, you know what it is that you're dealing with, and you don't let it go any further than that. So it's rather easy, actually, because I know who to trust with me, and I know how far to trust people with me. Now, my boys, like I keep telling people, they got the keys to the kingdom. A lot of women, you can have a couple of keys off the key ring, but and the rest of the keys, some of the keys I don't mind giving to you. Those are the things that you need up front. But the rest of those keys you got to earn. And a lot of women don't want to earn those keys. It's implied that I'm going to give you the keys to the kingdom straight out the gate. And it don't work like that. Not with me. I'm willing to put in the work. And I'm not looking to get to give. It's already established in my mind I have to give something in order to get something back. That is the way the world works. And I'm cool with that. Okay, Don, so what are you willing to deal with? If we're gonna put the five out there, put the high five out there. What is it that you're willing to deal with? What is it that you want? What is it that you feel that you deserve at this stage of the game after experiencing David the way that you have? May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you. But right now, I mean, we don't define what relationships are. That's what it was that I was alluding to earlier. We don't define relationships. We go along to get along until you done effed around and got in a relationship, and then you done effed around and you done fell in love. And then next thing you know, we're just here and we're just kicking it until something happens, and we hope that something happens. And then when it doesn't, then we feel like we wasted our time versus not communicating. This is what I want. This is what I need, and determining that what you need is important than what it is that you want. Once changed, I mean, needs are pretty much forever, and they solidify what a relationship is and what it is not going to be. But I do thank you all for hanging out tonight. I have to get on down this road and get to work. I do thank you all for hanging out. Um, in doing so, I hope that I have revealed a little bit more about myself, why I am the way that I am, this weird thing that I am. I do understand that it is a lot for a woman to have to deal with. So with what it is that I'm putting her through, there's so much more that I have to give in the process. Go ahead, Ronnie. Well, I'll let you go ahead and have it. Go ahead. Men are scared to commit because they have to be responsible, and that's this thing with being committed to something is you're locking in because we commit to buying shoes, we commit to paying a car note, we commit to things that we feel is beneficial and that it enhances our life. And a relationship can and will um, enhance our life, but we don't see any benefits out of it. Especially getting married. What does a man see is beneficial on average with getting married? It's pretty much a lot of dudes see it as a death sentence. But it's easier to commit to a material thing because if you don't get what it is that you want, there's always a return process and it turns into a no harm, no foul. But with a relationship, there is no returning process. You've already invested the time, you've invested your life, and those are the things that you can never get back. Come on, man, what? It's easy to go ahead and commit to something that you're going to pay for outside of child support. It's a different commitment altogether. Okay, but getting peace, that's the one thing that a lot of men want. That's pretty much the only thing that men want is that they want to be in peace, but also they don't negotiate the waters to find out what it's going to take to get said peace. And a lot of things can be solved with one question in the beginning of the relationship of, and if we're going to be honest, is what is it going to cost for me to be with you? What is it honestly going to cost? And I ask a young gentleman that, what does it cost? What is it going to cost his young lady that he is with to? And he looked me dead in the eye and he told me, her youth. It's costing her her youth to be with me. That's Ronnie. That's not always the truth. That is not. No, sir. I won't agree with that. A lot of times when you give peace, once you give it, it can be seen as a sign of weakness. But I mean, I do agree that in order you should get what it is that you give. And I don't know if women want so much more than peace that once they change from day to day, from situation to situation, where if you want to go to the movies, we as men, we focus on that one track and then we take you to the movies till you get tired of going to the movies, then you want to do something else. With us, we could do the same thing forever and a day. We play the same game forever and a day. Go ahead, Almond Brown. Almond Brown.
Yeah, I don't think you can hear me.
I can hear
Can you
you,
hear me?
Almond Brown. I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right.
Now I've
Here,
lost you.
but appreciate you, getting the conversation. I was able to hear a lot of it. Just couldn't get my video connected back because of the signal. But I know we're gonna wrap things up. I think
Now I want to go ahead and get.
to
I got a few more minutes. So I can go ahead and give it a run.
Oh, okay, cool.
But that's the thing, though. A lot of dudes are killed for a meal. A lot of dudes are killed just for a peaceful household. But that's the only thing that they want is they just want peace. They want to be able to come home to a peaceful household. And I'm in full agreement of both parties that when each party gets home, whoever gets home, if you get home, when you get home, that you should have one whole hour to do whatever it is that you want, decompress, go play video games, go get on the phone with your girls, Do whatever it is that you need to do. We can delay what's going on in the house unless it is an absolute emergency. But take that 1 hour for yourself and decompress because you've been dealing with so much more outside of this household instead of jumping into something straightforward. And I believe both parties that they deserve that. Just like I believe a man should give his woman $2 a week so she can stop off at the store, pick up a drink, and if she needs to sit outside in the car for a minute and sip her drink before she comes in the house, do that. But you need that decompression time in order for us to not kill each other as soon as you get home, as soon as the offending party gets home. And I don't know, Don, dudes they'll take missionary 2 days in a row, long as they're getting it. Now they might complain about it, but I mean, we'll take it long as we're getting it. And I think that's why a lot of misconception with power comes into play. That so long as you getting it, you're gonna do what it is that I want you to do.
It's in a bad area.
But the decompression, yes, from your boss, and I'm not saying. And sometimes you do need decompression from a spouse because there are going to be times when you all genuinely don't like each other. It does not stop one from not loving that person, but there's times when you really don't like that person, and you need a decompression in order for both of us to be sane. But don't I mean that's part of the go along to get along. And a lot of dudes, a lot of young men, they will discount their manhood for the sake of getting sex from a person, for getting consistent sex from a person. And a lot of women, that's where they lose respect for a man, is because they can see where they are discounting their manhood or allowing themselves to be run over or standing up to them and being the man and not the dictator in the relationship. And a lot of young men, they need to learn that. So, but like I said, I mean, I am one. I know that, as I keep saying, I'm a lot to deal with. But I mean, there's so much more that I bring along with me as well too. And I do like being honest, but there are times when I know better than to be honest because it's going to cost more than what it's actually worth, and it's not the paying for it; it's the continuing to have to pay for it, where one is being browbeaten with with their own truth versus we hashing it out, we deal with it, and decide what we're going to do from that point going forward. Okay, but Dawn is how do you put your craziest sexual desires out to your partner? That's that's a biggie there where you one person is a stone cold freak and the other one is not. How do you present that to them for them to say, you know what, I'll try it out of the sake of curiosity, not I will try it because it's you. Because if it doesn't go well, or we get back into that conversation of, well, I did this and I did that for you, we use it to hang people with versus having a genuine interest in something and doing it from that standpoint. Almond Brown, are you there? I can hear you, but I can't see you.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can't see you, but I
Okay.
can hear
All
you.
right. Yeah, don't the stream's not. Yeah, the stream's not gonna work. But that's all right. Keep going. I'm following you. I mean, we're talking about that safe space. Um, you know, um,
No, Dawn, she just put up how do you hide it is her question. How do you hide it? You experience it with someone else. That's how you
that's
hide
how
it.
you. That's how you hide it.
That's how you hide it.
But
You
then,
hide it
then
from
now you're
them.
back to
You
where you started with a a relationship with no trust.
no, you it's not what okay, but that comes at the beginning of the relationship though, because we should be cool enough for you to say, I like what work. I would like for this to happen. Or this, that, and versus struggling through sex. And then it becomes something to do and not something to experience. But that's how you hide it. You go off and you go do it with somebody else. That's your kind. That's your kind of freak. Versus being able to say, this is what I like. This is what I'm down with. Are you cool? And that other person saying, I'm cool. Okay, Ronnie, but that's the whole entire premise of the whole thing is that's not what I want. I want you to be able to come and say whatever it is that you need to say. No, another person may not get to hear about it. The other person that's my kind, they get to experience. They get to experience it. You already know what fishing. You know what fishing holes have the kind of fish that you want to catch. So you go to that fishing hole, which gets back to you love a person with everything that you have, but you got this place carved out within you that likes to do this, but you know this person well enough to know that they don't like it. So you dabble, you try to introduce them to it slowly, but they know what it is that you're doing, and you really want to do it. So you go over here with the other fish, stick your pole in the water, catch what you want, and then you go back home like nothing is, like everything is all great. Reason I'm not mentioning STDs in the transition because being stuck with a person that you never wanted to have a child with, to me, that's worse because that's forever. With AIDS, you could die of AIDS and you can be good. But with being stuck with a person that has your child, that you really honestly never wanted them to have your child, to me, that's far worse. And don't I get your confined spaces? It prevents you from holding. I mean, with from it prevents you from exposing the true you. But then that gets back to the difference between what we do and who we are. Me, I can honestly say I was a serial cheater. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Probably one of the best times in my absolute life. But it didn't get me anything. So I mean, I loved it, and it was not what I did; it was who I was, and I was comfortable with that. But I was not comfortable with the option to say you're not the only one. I was not comfortable with that one because I knew it was going to hurt somebody, and I don't genuinely like going out hurting people on purpose. That's not what I'm here for. But I do have to wrap this up. Now I do have to most definitely get out of here. Once again, I thank you all for another show. Hopefully, I have sparked some conversations. I have brought something different to the table. Knowing yourself and being honest self definitely helps. That's for sure. But I am being one is being honest with themselves. They do have the conversation with themselves. This is who I am. It's being honest with the other person. That's the pain of it all. No, no, no. It's not about going to cheat. Is you wind up suppressing it. So you have the wonders. Okay, it's pretty much the same thing with internet porn. Would that be considered cheating? That you're lusting over someone that you will never have, someone that you don't have access to, and someone that does not look like your partner. Is that cheating? Thank you very much, Dawn. But Ronnie, we're gonna have to go ahead and get into this one next week. As always, be good. If you can't be good, be yourself. If you can't be yourself, be honest. Shoe paper, not people. Thank you all once again for your time, your conversation, and you all have a great and blessed evening.